Microsoft Teams platform. On that note, once more, welcome everyone. In terms of us having to deal with the item for the open session. Members, there is an agenda before us. Can I get an indication that you do adopt the agenda as presented? By show of hand, please, members. Thank you, Mr. Gumete. Thank you, Mr. Mkize. I also support the agenda as presented. Thank you. We'll then proceed with the one and only item for this particular open session, which is an item under the pipe gas regulation. Mr. Mkize, your hand is up.
So it was a ring.
Okay, thanks. We will then proceed in considering the one and only item for the open session of this particular meeting, which is an item under the pipe gas division. Babu Ngomalo, may I request that you lead the committee through this particular item, please? Thank you. Over to you.
Thank you, Chairperson. This item basically relates to an application by Social Gas for amendment of its license conditions. In terms of Section 24(1)(a) of the Gas Act, to basically include a newly constructed distribution facility. Chair, in February 2024, Social Gas was granted a license to construct a distribution facility, and this is in the Alrod area of the Ekurhuleni municipality. The purpose for this construction was to basically develop a facility that would be used to supply gas to Social Gas's new customer, or to SLG's new customer in the area. Now, in order to comply with the Gas Act, Social Gas has had to apply for amendment of the license conditions, essentially for the purpose of incorporating the newly constructed facility in the license conditions. The facility in question, Chairperson, is basically a distribution pipeline, it's about 6 meters long. And the detailed specifications of this facility are set out or contained in Table 1. This is on page 5 of the submission. The application was duly advertised in April, on the 17th to be specific, and no comments were received from any stakeholders with regard to the application. Chair, we then proceeded to hold a public hearing in May, and the issues that were raised by members are shown under paragraph 6.2 of the submission. And in conclusion, we must say that the application actually complies with the requirements of the Gas Act, including the financial, technical, and administrative abilities of the applicant. The recommendations are on page 14, Chairperson, for approval of the application. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Ngumalo. Members, the submission is before you. Are there any questions, issues of clarity, or points of enhancements in relation to this particular application by SOSO? If you do have any, please let me recognize you by show of hand. Mr. Mkize, you may come in.
Thanks, Chairperson. Thanks to Mr. Ngumalo for the presentation. On page 2, in terms of the purpose, I think including the recommendation itself, I think it helps to have it as a standalone. And when we've got, in essence, because what we have here in essence is that there's an operation license amendment, right? And it should just be spelled out upfront what the amendment details are. So in terms of the amendment by including this particular section, just to complete that sentence to say what is it actually that the amendment entails on a standalone. And then 4.5, it's a bit concerning if one looks at the, what we say, the sharing of capital project cost. And just want to check in terms of if this is taken care of when one considers the tariff, so that the whole regulatory asset base is not allocated to one entity and not to both entities somehow. Just want to check if how that is taken care of. And then on the shareholding structure under 5.5, you are referring to figure 1, which doesn't exist. If we can just have a look at that. And then if we look at figure 2 is illegible, really defeating the purpose of having it here. So if you can maybe rather put it on one page so that one can really be able to look at it, one can hardly see anything that is written there. So if you can assist with that. And then on under 5.23, you talk of starting from 5.22, you say from the customer's perspective it is prudent to switch to a cheaper fuel, and then you're saying an assessment from the supplier's perspective was conducted under the financial analysis section when the construction license was issued, which is fair. However, it would be important to then reflect what NERSA's high-level prudence assessment showed, instead of just talking from a customer and a supplier perspective only, and not coming in as the adjudicator at the end of the day, even if it's from just a high-level perspective or preliminary perspective. Yeah, I think the figure 1 is actually captured in the decision and reasons for decision document, the RFD. So that is either you just indicate that it is in the RFD, or you just delete that reference to figure 1 in the submission itself. I leave it at that, Chairperson. As I said, basically I do support, but I would just like to get clarification on the issues that I've just raised. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Mkhize. I don't see any hand from Mr. Gumede, but I think from my side as well, it's just the issue of 5.8 applicable law. I think we can really enhance that, because there are a couple of pieces of legislation that are applicable to the application, such as those pieces of legislation that requires us to have a public consultation process. We can enhance that and just try and list them all in that paragraph 5.8. It is just a point of enhancements. Over to you to respond to the issues raised by Mr. Mkhize.
Thank you, Chairperson. Just to start by the first point raised by Mr. Mkhize, I think the first one is really just an enhancement with regard to the item that the purpose. We'll enhance that to make it a standalone and just to make it much more clearer as to what the intended purpose of the submission is. Then with regard to 4.5, the issue regarding capital costs, yes, they are taken care of. In fact, in the submission that was presented regarding the approval of the construction license, we did set out the implications, the issue of the implications when it comes to tariffs in quite detail. But then in essence, the pricing and tariffs department, when they consider any application with regard to tariffs and as well as maximum prices, and in tariffs, in this instance, they do take that into account, and that was clearly detailed quite extensively in the application for the construction license. But I think we can just enhance that incorporate some of that detailed explanation also in the submission for clarity, Chairperson. And then the issue regarding figures 1 and 2, it's an enhancement already, and I think Mr. Mkhize is quite correct that figure 1, does appear in the reasons for decision. But as far as figure 2 is concerned, we'll just basically make sure that we double check and enhance that paragraph so that it's more legible. And then 5.2.3. Again, that's another enhancement, just to show what the prudency assessment actually reflected. In as far as the application is concerned, we can do that. And I think, again, in the earlier application regarding the construction of the facility, we did detail, quite clearly and extensively the prudence assessment that was conducted with regard to this application, and we can import some of that and then bring it into this particular application just as an enhancement. And then lastly, your point, Chairperson, applicable, I think that's again an enhancement under applicable law. We'll enhance that just to make sure that under paragraph 5.8, to ensure that it reflects quite accurately what the applicable law will be. Chairperson, I believe I've tried to cover all the issues. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Mbalo. Mr. Mkhize, are you covered with the response?
Yeah, I'm covered, and as I indicated, in terms of what is the purpose, then the same will then be enhanced in terms of the recommendation. Thank you. I'm covered.
Thank you, Mr. Mkhize. The recommendations are on page 9, the green stem, page 9, paragraph 14. And the recommendations are that the REC is requested to approve the following: an application by Sasol Gas to amend the conditions related to its license to operate the distribution facility in Alrod area, Ekurhuleni Metropolitan Municipality, and the reasons for decision that are attached as Annexure A, and the attached license conditions that are attached as Annexure B, and also to include some of the enhancements that members have raised. By show of hands, members, can I get an indication that you do approve the recommendations as right into the record in terms of paragraph 14 of page 9? Thank you, Mr. Gumede. Thank you, Mr. Mkhize, and I also support. On that note, members, we have come to the end of our open session of the meeting, where I have earlier indicated that we only had one item that is for the session. I would like to thank members and members of management and stakeholders that have joined us for this meeting number 379 to listen to that particular item being discussed. On that note, we have come to the end of the closed session. We will be moving on to our, we have come to the end of the open session. I beg your pardon. We will be moving